up everyone, this is Thomas with Keller Williams here in St. Augustine, and today we're going to cover some of the questions that you've had and left in the comments of my previous videos. If you're looking for more information like that, go ahead and tap that subscribe button below, like the video, and comment if you have any additional questions that I may be able to answer. And if you need any further assistance, you have any additional questions, go ahead and reach out to me directly, whether it's a call, a text, or an email, goes right to me and I'm here to help. So the first question we're going to cover, it's actually more of a command how it's written, is they want me to do a video with a map of the area that shows the property tax rates on it, also mention areas with above or below auto and home insurance rates. So right off the bat, I'm kind of one of those people, I like to stay in my own lane. When it comes down to auto and home insurance, I'm going to refer you to just go get a quote from an auto insurer or a home insurer because that's not something that I do every day. I'm not a professional in that area. But I do know here in Florida, auto insurance rate, we also have homeowners insurance, of course, but auto insurance for sure is some of the most expensive in the entire United States because we have a ton of uninsured motorists. Home insurance and flood insurance, you're going to have the combination of two depending on where your house is, so that could cost you a little bit more money. So either way, I pulled up the St. Johns County Property Appraiser site. They have a property tax estimator that you can look it up based on the area, and it's not zip code or anything, it's just little pockets that they have zoned out where they have different millage rates for that specific area. So as we're looking here, the first one there is Elkton, which is kind of in the southwest area of St. Johns County. So let's just put in the just market value. Let's say it's $400,000. And if you're making it your primary residence, then you can add the homestead exemption on there, which adds up to $50,000 off your property's taxable value. So we're going to go ahead and just say that it's your primary residence. We're going to click that off. And then we're going to compute it. So just right there, that's going to give you $47.50 in your estimated taxes for the year. Now we can switch over to somewhere else. So let's see, we'll look at community St. Augustine South, which is a community that I reference a lot. We'll see there with the $400,000 value and the $50,000 homestead, that comes out to about $4,819 for estimated taxes for the year. So this is important information to know. And that, it just depends where you're at in the area. If you're going to be more in the central location of downtown, the historic district, taxes are actually going to be closer to 2% in that area. That's going to be the highest area because of the historic area. So yeah, it just really depends. If we're looking at a map here on the zip code. So if you're looking on a map of St. Johns County and just to take a look at all the zip codes, you can see here, right here in 32084, that's actually where downtown St. Augustine is located, right over here on the other side of this head of the Anastasia Island. So 32084, 32086, and 32080, these are the zip codes that are going to be 15 to 20 minutes from downtown St. Augustine and also the beach at the same time. So if you're within those areas, you're going to be about 15 to 20 minutes from the beach and downtown St. Augustine. Anything past that, unless you're on a main road, you're going to be maybe 30 to 45 minutes to the beach. If you're in, Volano Beach, you do have 32082, 32081, that's the Nocatee area. You're going to have a quick commute to the beach, but you're going to be further away from downtown St. Augustine and all the restaurants and bars down there and all the nightlife. So just one thing to be aware of, but this is the map of St. Johns County here, and the majority of the people looking to buy, they want to be 15 to 20 minutes from the beach, or they want to have those amenities. Now, if you're looking at the amenities, that's that Nocatee area over here, that's where 32081 is. And then if you're looking for Rivertown, Silverleaf, that's going to be in 32092, so your distance to downtown St. Augustine could be 20 to 30 minutes, depending where you're at in the community. But your distance to the beach, because you have to go through downtown St. Augustine just to get over to the beach, obviously, that could take you a little bit longer because of the traffic associated with the area. The next question is, looking at a potential job opportunity in St. Augustine, we have to live somewhat close to the job. We've been trying to find some good neighborhoods with amenities. Any suggestions? Also, we have 2 young children, but I'm struggling to find things other than the beach and old architecture. Any insight on things to do with kids like water parks and things like that? Thank you and love your videos. Awesome. Pence is on the move. Pence is on the move. Thank you so much for your compliment. I do have some suggestions when looking at some family-friendly events and communities here in the area, but a lot of that is going to be based off of your price point and what you guys are looking for. Now, that's the biggest thing there, is I really can't direct you unless I know how much of a home you can spend, because you can go to the umpteenth with that. You can have like the water park in your community if you want to here in the local area. So that just depends on you and your personal price point. Now, in terms of other things to do with kids in the area, I don't have any kids as of right now, and I've never really had any nieces or nephews, so it's really tough for me to say. I grew up here in town, and the beach and the historic area was kind of all I knew to what to do as a kid. With the beach, you have so much to do. I mean, if you're just here on vacation, maybe doing some surf lessons, that could be really cool, or some fishing lessons, or maybe even going kayaking or on the jet skis or renting a boat. So much to do with the water activities, and I understand maybe as a parent, that's kind of not the way you want to go. Maybe you want to do something a little bit safer. Then also they have ghost tours through town, so maybe it's that's age relating, just depending on how adverse to being scared your kid is, if you want to do that or not. There's ghost tours in town. That's a really fun thing to do. And then also my brother-in-law, he actually owns an escape room here in town, and that's like a family friendly event. Anyone can do it pretty much from any age. And if they're having hard times with the puzzles that are there because you're trying to escape a room, then they give you tips and hints and everything. So even if you're not the smartest person, for me it takes me forever to get out of these rooms, and I helped build a little bit of them. So I know a good bit of the concept and the design, and I'm still trying to put puzzles together, and it's taken me forever. But meanwhile, let's not talk, my brother-in-law and sister, they're like actual pros when it comes down to the escape room. So I'm doing it with them, and I'm like, I think I found something. And meanwhile, they already completed the puzzle. So whatever, I'm gonna get off my high horse on that. But yeah, so I pulled a couple things up here. They also have Adventure Landing too. This used to be the place to go as a kid when I was a kid. They had go-karts there, batting cages, they had arcade games, you got the tickets, you got the prizes, all that good stuff. So it actually was called the Family Fun Factory when I was a kid, and Adventure Landing, which has another place in Jacksonville, has bought it, and it's now Adventure Landing in St. Augustine. The next question we have is about new construction and flooding within St. Augustine. So I did a video on Entrada, which is a D.R. Horton new construction community starting in the high 300s here in St. Augustine in zip code 32086, if you remember the zip codes we just covered. So they just started this new construction community, and this person had a question about flooding. So I'm going to point to the FEMA flood map, and I'm just going to skip right over here. I looked up the address here, 62 Nervion Way, which is the address of the model at D.R. Horton Entrada. And when you're looking there, you can see that there is a flood zone that runs through the majority of the field. They haven't updated the map with the new homes that are on there. But it looks like the majority of it is in flood zone X, where you're not going to have to worry about having to pay for flood insurance. If you're in flood zone AE and you happen to have financing, you don't own your house straight out, you would then be required to have flood insurance. But from this community here, D.R. Horton Entrada, you can see it on the map that is not in a flood zone, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. He also asked about stormwater retention ponds as well. You see a lot of big ponds in these new communities, and why is that? A lot of these communities will actually dig out these ponds, they'll build up the entire community, effectively raising them out of the flood zone. They'll apply for a LOMAR, which is a letter of map asset relocation, so that it shows and reflects on FEMA that it's no longer in a flood zone. So it could be in flood zone AE, and then it could effectively be raised to flood zone X with them digging out that, adding the stormwater retention, and putting the ponds in. So what happens is that it's all part of the sewer system. Essentially, any of the road stormwater runoff goes into the sewer and then goes over to the pond. So it's just managing the stormwater rain runoff here. Okay. Glad to see a new construction video about St. Augustine. Is this area flooding zone or not? We were in St. Augustine 4 months ago before a Christmas cruise, sightseeing only with the chance to look at new construction site, but flooding is a really big concern. Based on your video, the new construction location is around 15 minutes from downtown. Does it mean that this area is much less chances than flooding in St. Augustine downtown or St. Augustine Beach? This area here, they're talking about Entrada, which is west of downtown St. Augustine, west of the beach, and it's actually not in a flood zone. So we'll hop over to the FEMA flood zone map and I'll show you there. The next question we have is from Miss Gallagramma, which is a strange question. I always set up avoid highways on my navigator. Any way to avoid highways if you live in one of these neighborhoods? Now, the video this comment was left on was the top 10 neighborhoods in St. Johns County, and really, when you're talking about the top 10 neighborhoods in St. Johns County, all of those are going to be based off of a major highway. So if you're on St. Augustine Beach, St. Augustine South, Palm Valley, Nocatee, all of those are going to be based off of Nocatee Parkway, A1A, or US 1. So when you're taking a look at a map of St. Johns County here, you can see the northeastern side. This is where Nocatee is, where that star is. On the northwestern side here, this is where you're going to have your Silverleaf. This is where you're going to have your trail mark. Rivertown, that's all going to be in this area over here. And then Entrada and downtown historic area, that's going to be all over here in St. Augustine Beach right here. So most of the top 10 communities that we talked about in that video, St. Augustine Beach being one of them, Crescent Beach being one of them, they're off of A1A. So it just depends on your definition of a highway. A1A is 45 miles throughout the major populated areas. If you're going through Volano Beach and Ponte Vedra Beach, that's also the same thing. I mean, this stretch of A1A for Volano Beach is amazing. You can see the ocean on a good bit of the stretch of road, and it's really pretty much empty. You know, there's only single family houses on the right. There's a couple of condo townhome communities on the left, but there's not really a whole bunch of beachfront real estate to build on where that road's located. So it's a lot of single family homes facing the ocean. So that's really, really nice. So to answer your question, pretty much all these communities are going to be based off of major highways. If you're in a neighborhood like Nocatee, you can get around, pretty much get everything you need within the community and not hit a highway. But outside of that, you're more than likely going to have to hit a major roadway where you're going 45 miles per hour plus to get some of your essentials. The next question that we have is from Steve T. He asks, if home prices have risen 20% since last year, does that mean that the property taxes rose 20% for existing homeowners? That is a great question, and I really appreciate that question because that makes me dig deep and give you a better answer. So the main thing to know here is if you are moving into primary residence, you're going to be able to homestead your property. I know I touched on that before with the property tax estimation. You can qualify up to $50,000 off your property value when you homestead your property when it's a primary residence here in Florida. Now with that, you do also put a cap on how much they can raise your property taxes every single year. So at that point, I think it's only they can raise them 3% per year. So your question, if it's raising 20%, that depends. Are you homesteaded? Are you not? And if you're homesteaded, then the max that they can raise you is going to be 3%. So I'm gonna generalize this question here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can read it in the entirety if you'd like. But it's just a very long question. I don't want to read it word for word. You'll get bored and you'll click off this video. But essentially, they're asking about the different builders in the community compared to, Rivertown, Nocatee, and Entrada, where you have all these different builders and different price points. So that all comes down to supply and demand. What areas are more in demand and what areas are not in terms of prices. So the builders are buying the property and they're pretty much basing it off of demand. So how are they going to sell the properties? Just how much and how many people are interested at what price point. You also get at a Rivertown or a Nocatee, you're getting a large amenity center. I mean, the amenities at these places, they're huge acreage wise. Whereas an Entrada is a smaller community where you do have an amenity center, but it's just going to be like a pool and a clubhouse and a fitness center. That's it. They're only putting about 1,000 homes there, whereas I think Rivertown's like 15,000 homes and Nocatee it's going to be 15,000 homes, but I think as of right now they have 10,000 homes. So those are going to be the main differences there. Also, geographical location. So both of those, Rivertown is obviously right on the river, and Nocatee is right on the northeastern part of St. Johns County between Duval County and historic St. Augustine. So that little pocket right there, I mean, they're just in a great location. They go to Jack's Beach, they go to the beach in Ponte Vedra Beach, they can go down to historic St. Augustine, all within about 30 minutes. So I think the geographic location there is really, really strong. And the difference of that is just its supply and demand and price point. So the area west of St. Augustine hasn't been in demand really up until recently. So that's where they put in that community. And this has been years in the works, of course, but now they're selling homes like hotcakes over there. They can't keep them on the shelf. In terms of who I think is the best builder, who I think is the worst builder, I cannot drive you towards one specific one. If you want to give me a call and have a conversation about my personal experience with each builder, I can do that. But I can't say one is better than the other, because that's a lawsuit for me in the future. But what I will say is that right now, I know you mentioned keyboard warriors with Mattamy. If you look at any builder right now, there's going to be a builder that's had problems these past couple of years. Supply chains have been nuts. There's been a lot of issues with COVID and supply chain in conjunction that has caused delays in the building process. Before COVID, a builder could tell you, oh yeah, in 3 months, I'll have your house done on this date. Now a builder can't even tell you when they're getting windows in. It's just completely different landscape for them now. So across the board, they've had problems. Pretty much all of my new construction contracts that I've had over these past couple of years have had some issues, and there's no way around that. You just need to be able to have patience with these builders, because they're going through the problems just like you are, and not only just for you, but customers, 3 or 4 or 5 of them at a time. So they're not just dealing with your issues, but everyone's issues, and they're trying to make it happen. Their ultimate goal is to satisfy you. So when you're reading these comments online about the negatives of going with a new construction builder, it's like, yeah, they're going to be there, and the person has the loudest microphone is complaining the most. So that's kind of one of those situations, I would say. In terms of how builders operate, every builder is different. I know you mentioned some distaste with Lennar, and you might be talking about how they kind of do a bidding process. So when they release a home to the market, they let everyone know that's interested in the home, hey, we have this home available. If you'd like it, come and get it. Put your best and highest offer in, because that's the person that's going to win. I was just talking to a rep there this past week over in Silverleaf, where they have a new development in Silver Landing. And right now, homes are selling 15 to 20% over the list price that they're asking for. So that's where it's a little bit more competitive, and it gets a little bit confusing, because a lot of new construction isn't like that. A lot of new construction will just be first come, first serve. So they're offering the price of the home at X, you're willing to pay X, and you're the first person there, write the contract and go. So a lot of people aren't a big fan of that process. The next question I got was from Janet Jallo MXJC Yards TV. And she said, I'm not interested in buying a house. What is the rental situation for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath? So my friend recently just got a condo over at the Landing. It's one of the larger apartment communities here in St. Augustine. Probably going to be one of the best deals in terms of rental possibilities. But I think they're paying $1,300 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Now this is a luxury apartment. They have granite countertops. They have beautiful cabinets. A little bit of storage. But yeah, the minimum you should be expecting to pay for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath rental here in an area is going to be $1,300. Whereas maybe a year or two ago, before COVID, that was probably going to be $800, $900. But with our real estate sales market taking off like it has, our rental market has also gone with that, because people who couldn't buy houses are now forced into renting. The next question comes from Norielis Verges, which thank you so much for reaching out. If you have any other questions, reach out to me directly. But she reached out to me and she left a comment on my YouTube and said, I would like to see the ranking that included school ratings, crime statistics, and demographics. Have you done one with this info? So I'm, just in terms of the laws and the ethics I have to adhere to as a realtor, I really can't cover those things, because they change drastically. One example is that, maybe I send you the crime statistics for an area, and then within the time that, and you like a house in the area, you buy a house, we're under contract for 30 days. And then the 29th day before we close, maybe a sex offender gets moved in around the corner. And then you close on the house, you don't know that, I don't tell you because I'm not looking at it every day. All of a sudden, you move into the house, you find out there's a sex offender, and then it's my fault because I didn't tell you about it. There's just so many things, so many variables like that I have to protect myself. But I can be the source of the source. So if you're looking for that type of information, I'm going to go ahead and look at the computer here, and I'm going to cover the crime and the statistics and where you can get that information, and also where you can get the school information. If you need this information, I can also email it to you directly. Just go ahead and reach out directly. But I'll look at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I will put the link in the comments below or in the description below, and I'll do that as well with the school grades too, so that you know where it's at. It's just going to be on this video. It's going to be on the link below. So if you have any questions, if you want to know the grades of a certain area, then go ahead and check it out. That's the same thing with schools too, is like I can tell you what school it is as of right now, but our county is growing very fast. So those things can change in a couple of months. It could be in the best school one day, then be in the worst school the next day. And then you're gonna go, Thomas, why didn't you tell us about this? And it's like, guys, I can't do anything about this. This changes without, they're not asking, hey Tom, what do you think about this change? Fortunately, I don't have that kind of pull here in town. So I wish I did, but I don't. The next question we have is from Brian again. He provides a lot of great questions on here, and there's a lot of great back and forth comments between him and Jason on here, which I love. So keep that going, guys. And the question is this a bubble? And that's the main question. I'll read the rest of it. It's got to be a bubble. I get it, Noctee's a nice place and Ponte Vedra is fairly affluent, but we're talking about the east side of Jacksonville and a fancy golf course nearby. Are home prices seriously rivaling the big island of Hawaii now, or heck, downtown St. Augustine? Great for the folks who bought in Noctee pre-COVID, but dang, if you grew up in the area, you're fixing to buy your first house, you gotta go down to Palm Coast and get a hole in the wall. Settlers Landing, they're starting to run $1 million after options. Your neighbor's house will sit a couple feet from you. Seriously, before CDD and taxes, northeastern Florida is owed a bit of an overcorrection for 2008. This feels like way too much of one. Gotta be a bubble. So we're in a completely different situation than we were in the previous housing recession, which was the first housing recession since the Great Depression back in the 1930s. So I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't have a magic ball. I wish I did. What we're seeing and what I believe we're seeing is that Jacksonville as a metro is catching up with every other large metropolitan area across the United States. That's for various different reasons, whether people are moving here because of lifestyle, they have remote work, or they see that Florida is being run a little bit differently than a lot of these other states. A lot of people are moving here for retirement. 40% of the people moving here to Florida are moving here because they're retiring. 40% of those people that are moving to Florida have an income of over $100,000 a year. Is this a bubble? I still got to say no at this point, because we also know that 1 in 4 offers is cash. And 1 in 3 offers is someone relocating from another area. More than likely, they're taking cash, they're selling property from another area and coming down here with cash in hand. Is this a bubble? From the statistics that I'm seeing, I don't think it's a bubble. I think what we're seeing is a large demographic of people, the baby boomer generation, who is our largest workforce in the United States. They're starting to retire. And a lot of people like to move to Florida when they retire. So that's what we're seeing now. And COVID kind of forced the hand of a lot of people. A lot of companies said, hey, you know what? You want to take early retirement? We'll give it to you. We'll let you out the door. And a lot of people took it and ran. A lot of people got tired of it. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to retire early and call it a day and move to Florida. And that's what's going on here. I think this is going to go down as one of the mass migrations within our country, and it'll be remembered in history, similar to how people moved for the industrial revolution. All right, and our next question comes from Glenn Koenig. He really enjoys my videos, and he's looking to move down in about 2 years. And his main question is, do you have any tips or a general plan for people to follow who are looking down the line? And they said that we'd all set up to sell their house where they're living. And that really, in today's market, is a problem. So if maybe in 2 years, our market is going to be a little bit different. Hopefully it's a little bit more regular and even out, where we're not in exactly the pendulum of we're in a seller's market right here at the very top, where buyers have a little bit more leverage. That could be possibly 2 years in the road. So that could benefit you, but at the same time, we're expecting a 20% increase this year. I imagine we're probably going to have double-digit increases, if not the following year, and then maybe a little bit under 10% the year after that. I imagine we're going to continue increasing as we have people moving in here. A lot of that baby boomer demographic that is retiring, they're coming down to Florida. So it could be one of those Good situations could be one of those bad situations. You know, if you're waiting on the interest rates could go up, prices of housing could go up. So if you're looking at a $400,000 house now, let's say, you know, our housing market appreciates 20%, 10% respectively for each year, you plan on moving down, you know, that's going to be $80,000. So the $400,000 house that you love and you like today is going to be possibly $500,000 by the time that you're ready. Plus the interest rate, you know, it's around 3.5% right now, 4%, could be 5% 2 years from now. So these are all things that you have to weigh. And I know a majority of the cash could be coming from the sale of your home. I don't know if you're looking to do another mortgage, but if you can buy cash, then that's great, you know, but the prices of the home will be different 2 years down the line. Whether that's a better situation for you as a buyer or not, that remains to be seen with our market. But any tips I definitely do have is, you know, especially in your situation, I would talk to a lender. Go ahead and see if you could qualify ahead of time. Just see if you can, you know, if you're looking to buy a $500,000 house, maybe you don't need to sell your house right away, because that's the biggest thing. So the biggest thing is where are you going to go if you sell your house and you can't find another house because our market's so competitive? So that's the biggest problem we see across everyone here relocating to our area today. Where are they going to go? So if you can qualify without actually having to sell your personal residence, then yeah, then qualify, buy your house, and then worry about selling your house up north, or I think you said New York City, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. So if you can qualify and then sell your house, that's probably going to be the best move. But if you're right outside of New York City, I'd talk with a local agent. If you need a referral, I definitely know a couple great agents up there. But if you're right outside of New York City, I mean, you're probably in a really great seller's market. So you might be able to get a lease back in that situation. So you sell your home, and then the person that buys your home leases the home back to you for 60, 90, 120 days, depending on the market, whatever that may be. And that could be a potential better situation for you. So you're not moving 3 times. You're moving from your house that you're selling, you're staying there and renting it, you're identifying a house to where you're buying, and then whenever you buy, you move out and you say, hey, you go ahead and you can move in, I'm done up here. That's probably the simplest and easiest way. The next question comes from Murph. He says, I'm considering relocating. What's the home remodeling industry like there? Thanks for the content. Murph, thank you so much for leaving a comment. The home remodeling industry right here, I imagine, is probably on fire. The majority of our housing inventory really started in the 90s. So like if you're looking at the age of, you know, 50% of our housing, it's probably all, you know, as young as 1990, like it was built in that time. So all these homes that are built in the 1990s, the 2000s, they all need to be updated at this point. They're 20 to 30 years old. We have people moving in and buying homes from different areas, sometimes sight unseen, sometimes with cash, and they really don't care what the price is. Everyone's getting 100% of list price. So even the worst homes are going on the market and selling very quickly because someone coming from a different area can see the potential of what it could be. So that being said, my past 2 contracts that I've had go under, and they've closed or they're about to close, are going to be remodeling pretty much everything in the place, and they're going to be changing a good bit of it. And that's not saying it doesn't need it. A lot of the houses that, you know, are on the market, they need some updating, whether that's in the kitchen or the bathrooms, or, you know, just the outside needs a little sprucing up, needs a little bit of love. We're seeing a good bit of that. The next question comes from Miss Grandma again, and she says, amazing input. What is the quality of the tap water? She noticed some different smell and taste from Indiana. Do you buy water? So me, myself, personally, I don't buy water. I use filtered water out of my fridge, but you can buy water if you want at the store, and they sell them in the big 5-gallon jugs. My grandparents actually used to have like a water dispenser tower that you'd have at like an office in their house, just because they preferred that water better. And a lot of people do put water softeners in their house. So if you do, you know, have a problem with your skin and water sensitivity, then that might be a great option for you to look into, is adding a water softener. Probably costs you about $1,000 to $2,000 to add. But in terms of the drinking quality of the water, and also the water spots, the hardness of the water, makes a world of difference. And the next question we have is from Scott Z. He asks, are investors buying up all the houses just in St. Augustine just like they are in Jacksonville? And that's no secret. I mean, if you're looking at, you know, all these major hedge funds are coming into Jacksonville, they're coming into St. Augustine, and they're buying up a ton of property. You know, and a lot of the builders are actually trying to fight that. A lot of them aren't allowing them to, you know, for example, I know D.R. Horton we just talked about, they're not selling to any hedge fund type companies. So if you're looking to buy a home, you have to be an end user. So even if you're looking to buy it as an investment for yourself, they're not looking for that type of buyer. They're looking for someone who's going to live in the residence. And that's for a lot of their communities. For some, you know, it just depends on each individual one if they are accepting that. But I just know that's one thing that they do. And yeah, they're out here, they're looking to buy properties because everyone sees what's going on here in Florida in general, but in northeastern Florida, the appreciation of prices going along with rent. You buy a property now and over 30 years, you'll be making a ton of money if our prices keep going the way they're going, that's for sure. So they see opportunity and that's where they're at. The next comment is just something that I covered before, and this comes from Jason Zhang, and he mentions that, you know, no matter what builder that you're using, you should get a third-party home inspector. Now, I think that's a super important comment, and thank you so much, Jason, for putting that there, because I've said it, you know, but it helps when someone else is saying it too, that no matter what builder you're using, just having a third-party inspector, they're looking out for your best interest. You know, you're paying them money to look out for your best interest. They're going to go in at, you know, hopefully pre-drywall and post-drywall, and they're going to look and make sure that everything is done the way it's supposed to be done. And they have a more extensive knowledge of homes and what should be done than I do, and probably than you do. So is it going to cost you some money? Yeah, I mean, it could cost you $500 to $1,000 because they're going to go multiple times throughout the process to check up on things, and you want someone to do that. So I've always found it to be a great service to all the clients that have used it. And pretty much everyone that has done new construction with me has had a third-party inspector, and they've all really valued the information. And you know, sometimes it's nitpicky. You know, sometimes it's, oh, you know, the builder didn't put on the outlet plate right. Well, that's good. You know, hey, you want a nitpicky person to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. So definitely something I recommend, and great comment, Jason. SC asked if we could talk about flooding in St. Augustine. So in downtown St. Augustine, it is known to flood. That's because the streets are 500 years old. They didn't really have the best stormwater management at that time. So even when it rains, and you know, here it'll rain 20 minutes really, really hard, it definitely, you'll see those problems, the flooding. You know, you'll walk and you might as well wear flip-flops because you're going to be walking through a lot of water. But it does typically dry up pretty quick with how hot it gets. So, I mean, it is a problem, yeah, but it's not really something that we worry about on the daily. I mean, if you're downtown in St. Augustine all the time, then maybe it's a concern for you. But if you're just visiting, you know, if the weather's good, then it's not something you have to worry about. Flooding in the area, you know, it just depends what you're looking for. Do you want to be on the beach? Well, you're probably going to have to be in a flood zone. You know, do you want to be close to those areas? And it's possible you might be in a flood zone. If you're okay with being a 30-minute drive from those areas, then it's a pretty good chance that we won't put you in a flood zone. So, or you'll at least be in flood zone X where you don't have to pay flood insurance. So it just depends what you are looking for and what you're comfortable with. The next question comes from Scott Z again, and Scott, thank you so much for your questions. He says, how bicycle friendly are some of the larger bridges? Did you hear about the drawbridge opening with the cyclists on it? And yes, I did hear about that. Super tragic. So I'm sorry for that person and the loss. And apparently just some news came out about it that the drawbridge operator didn't even look to see if anyone was on the bridge. They just said they did, and then their boss is involved now, and because their boss texted them, delete this, and oh man, look into it. Pretty sketchy. But a lot of the bridges are bike friendly. Volano Bridge, there's a path there, so you can walk or bike over the bridge pretty easily. It's a pretty steep and winding bridge. It's really interesting when you drive over it, but when you drive over it, you can get the great view of downtown. You can also get a great view of the ocean and Porpoise Point there in Volano Beach. Lions Bridge, that has a walkway on either side, which is fenced off from the 25-mile-per-hour traffic that goes over the bridge, and it's just one way for each way. And then, you know, you have the sidewalks for people walking and biking. I think you're supposed to walk your bike over the bridge, but a lot of people just bike over the bridge and they go in the car lane. And then the 312 bridge and the 206 bridge, those both have wide shoulders. They don't have any sectioning off for bikes or anything like that. The 312 bridge, that's going to be about 50-mile-per-hour cars going by you, and it gives you probably about a 10-foot shoulder. So there's a good shoulder there, but I mean, you got cars whipping by you, and you got to really, I mean, it's a steep bridge. So unless you're like Lance Armstrong, you know, you're more than likely going to be walking your bike up that bridge. But yeah, and then 206 is a relatively flat bridge. It is a drawbridge, so definitely watch out, you know, make sure no boats are coming. But that has a, you know, probably a 6-foot shoulder on either side, if I'm remembering correctly. But it's, I wouldn't say a ton of people bike over that unless you're a road biker. You know, that's not really a main path for a lot of people. The next question comes from Scott Z again, and he says, why no attic or crawl space in Florida? Well, we've already talked about flood zones, and that's really because of our sea level. We are pretty much at sea level here in Florida, so if you start digging in the ground, you're gonna hit water pretty soon. You know, it's gonna be a couple feet. You're gonna hit some water. So that's really the problem here in Florida and why we don't have basements. We do have attics here in Florida, though it gets so freaking hot during the summer that you're not gonna use the attic space for anything, and probably would only just keep stuff like for dry storage, you know, like Christmas lights and, you know, Christmas tree, whatever, you keep that up there for the seasonal things that pop up. Because it gets so hot and humid, and then it dries out, gets cold in the winter. But a lot of people don't use their attic space like they do up north, where it's actually like more of a functional space and possibly an additional living space. Whereas here it's literally just an unair conditioned space. You know, maybe they have in your garage, they have an access panel where it has a drop down ladder, and then you can put a couple sheets of plywood up top and you store all your you know, non-essentials up there throughout the year. Steve T asks, are there any commuter lanes or toll roads in St. Augustine? So as of right now, no, there's not. You know, they are talking about different things and how they can make St. Augustine more traffic efficient. But as of right now, they don't have any of those. In Jacksonville, they do have toll roads. They've just added them over the past couple years, and they're based off of time of day and use. So you can use the express lanes if you want to, but it's essentially a toll road around 295. So when it's like, you know, 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. traffic for the work traffic, rush hour, then it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But when there's no traffic at all, it'll be free. So it's just cost based on the demand of traffic. But that's in Jacksonville, that's not here in St. Augustine. And Michael Kaufman, we're gonna round this out as the last question here. He says, forget the forward question, but why does one need a real estate agent to purchase a new construction home? And the truth of the matter is that you actually don't need a real estate agent at all to purchase a new construction home or to purchase any home. You can do it all yourself. It's totally up to you. But that's a whole other job that you have to do. Hiring a real estate agent in a new construction world, yeah, I mean, really at the end of the day, the builder's going to do all the work. You're going to have to submit your loan documents to the preferred lender that the builder has or your lender. But it always helps to have someone who's done this process several times. You know, because how many times are you actually looking to buy a new construction home? Just depends on you as a person, but you know, the process isn't always the same, and especially in today's market, it's definitely not the same as it was several years ago. So it definitely helps to have someone in your corner looking out for your best interests and also understands the process and the problems that these builders have today. And that's something that I've been able to navigate, and that's something I've been able to do here in this past market. Now that could also go into, why do you even need a real estate agent at all? Well, I mean, do you want to have another job? It's just something that you have to learn to do, which anyone can do. You can go on YouTube and figure out pretty much anything you need to know these days. But through the new construction process, through the resale process, I know the negotiations, I know the contract, it helps to have someone to be able to walk you through these things opposed to going at it blindly. So not a hard sell on that, Michael, but a little bit of a soft sell. If you have any more questions, go ahead and reach out to me directly. I'd love to be able to, you know, if you have any questions about, you know, being a real estate agent or what we actually do in the process, I'd love to be able to help. So go ahead and reach out to me directly. I think one of the biggest reasons to have a real estate agent in the new construction process is because that they've done it before and they know the process. And they also know the main questions to ask. So I've done a whole bunch of new construction contracts over the past couple of years, and I know that pretty much every builder works with a preferred lender. Now, that's just not information they advertise to everyone. You know, they want to keep as much money in their pocket. But if I didn't know to ask the question, would you be able to get the incentive? That's a good question to ask. If I didn't ask you to get an inspector, would they catch certain things? You know, I worked with one builder, and my buyer was actually a contractor. So he knows everything that, you know, when it comes down to houses, how things should be. So when I'm talking to him, he's telling me more information about houses than I know. So just coming from that different level of experience, and I understand that that's his job. He's been a contractor for his entire life. So how am I going to have more experience than him and know exactly like that, all the information that he knows? I'm just not. So I told him, like, hey, you should get a third-party inspector, someone who's going to look through everything with a fine-tooth comb, because they're going to see things that you're not going to be able to see. And he's like, well, you know, I don't want to do that. You know, I can hire this guy, and this guy says he's 150 bucks. Your guy says he's 400. And I said, at the end of the day, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, I'm just saying this is the guy I use, I trust. If you don't want to use him, you don't have to, but you know, you can use this guy and work out whatever you want to work out. I just want to make sure you're covered. Either way, he goes up, he hires both of them. So he hired both of the guys, and he was so much happier with the guy that I recommended, because he actually was able to find some mold on some roof trusses, which is something that, you know, really you wouldn't be able to notice unless you were an inspector that works with mold remediation, which this inspector happened to do. So he took pictures of it. He was able to get it ratified with the builder themselves, and he had pictures and proof of that information. So either way, that's just another touching point of why having a real estate agent helps in this process. You know, it has to do with the experience of dealing with these contracts. And is it a little simpler for real estate agents to deal with new construction? Yeah, it is for sure. But, you know, dealing with the process for you as a buyer really doesn't change that much. And we are like the guiding light through this process. So I definitely recommend interviewing a realtor, making sure they've done new construction before, make sure they have a couple contracts under their belt so they understand the process, and they also understand what incentives and what possibilities are there for you as a buyer. Guys, and that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of value into some of the questions that people have about living here in St. Augustine. If you did, please do me that solid and tap that subscribe button below. Like the video and comment if you have any additional questions about living here in our beautiful town. Like I've said before, we've got people reaching out to us all the time, so whether it's a call, a text, or an email, goes directly to me. I'm the guy answering it, so whether it's a call, text, or email, I'm here for you.